All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the council meeting for Thursday, April 13th. We are now called to order. At this time, we'll turn the meeting over to Councilmember McBride to deliver the opening prayer.
Good evening, everyone. If you could just bow your head very briefly. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for our life, health, and strength, the activities of our limbs, to be in a sound mind today. We thank you, Father, for blessing us and keeping us. We thank you for keeping our families from hurt, harm, and danger. I ask for a special prayer for our young people today that are doing so much killing. There's so much confusion. We're in the midst of their troubles. We ask you to bring peace, that neighbors will be neighbors and we will love one another as we're supposed to. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I ask you, Father, to continue to bless us, strengthen us all, and treat and love us all together. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Councilmember McBride, for that beautiful prayer. At this time, we will ask you to recite the Pledge of Allegiance with us. Councilmember Brown, you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I see our
Sure.
flag is up. Thank you.
All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again, Councilmember Brown, for reciting the Pledge of Allegiance for us. At this time, we'll move into the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. There were a couple of items that we did not complete in the work session, so we'll modify those at the appropriate time. But first, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. As I just shared, we did not get to the Growing Green with Pride, the mosquito spraying program, which I know Officer Reinhardt said he'll cover during his segment during staff reports, but mental health awareness and the End Time Harvest Ministries graduation banquet, could we add those under, I guess they would still be new business?
Yes.
Just writing them down so I make sure we don't have miss anything. Mental health, End Time Harvest is under financial, Growing Green. Okay, so again, End Time Harvest is already under financial, so we just added under new business the mental health awareness fair, and then Growing Green with Pride. Did I miss anything? Okay, so with that, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Bear with me. I'm gonna.
Mayor, I know we
yes,
just voted. I'm sorry.
I missed one.
I don't think, you may not have the annexation specialist.
I moved it to next month. That's what I was saying in the work
Okay.
session, because that's
Okay.
gonna take more time. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank
And so with that, I'm very pleased to welcome Chief Collington, who's in the room. Chief, do you wanna come up and introduce us for the appearances?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, colleagues, and community. I'm proud to stand before you today to bring on a new officer to serve our community, but as well as to acknowledge and promote one of our fantastic police officers, Corporal Ryan Harris, and to welcome Officer Kane Tapscott to our family. So with that, I will ask the mayor to come up and do the read the oath of office for Corporal Harris. You come on up. Even though it's effective, this is the effective date.
Okay, got it.
Before you on today's date.
Okay.
Okay, I know it's
So use this one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the effective date.
Okay. So Officer Harris, do you mind? Because I want to make sure the audience can see you. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Ryan Harris,
I, Ryan Harris,
having been duly appointed
having been duly appointed
to the rank of corporal,
to the rank of corporal
effective March 12th, 2023,
Thank you all
March
for the
12th,
pause. I think
2023.
maybe
For the
we're
town of
having
Bladensburg,
for the town of
little
Bladensburg,
technical
solemnly affirm
do
difficulties.
solemnly affirm
that I will bear true
And
allegiance
that I will
the
bear true
Mayor,
allegiance
to the
I'm
United
sure,
States
will
of
be back
America,
to the
shortly.
United States of America,
the state of Maryland,
the state of Maryland,
and the town of Bladensburg,
and the
So
town
right,
of
so the
Bladensburg,
That I will
next on the
support-
agenda
that I will
for the
support
appearances
the
are you
charter
back
and
me?
laws-
Okay,
the
great.
charter and
All right.
laws
of Prince George's County
of Prince George's County
and the town of Bladensburg,
and the town of Bladensburg,
and that I will obey
and that I will obey
the orders of the governor
the orders of the governor
and the officers appointed over me
and the officers appointed over me,
according to the rules
according to the rules
and regulations
and regulations
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
I will,
I will,
to the best of my skill,
to the best of my skill,
judgment, and ability,
judgment, and ability,
with diligence and faith,
with diligence and faith,
and without partiality
and without partiality
or prejudice,
or prejudice,
execute the office
execute the
of
office
corporal
of corporal
for the town of Bladensburg, Maryland.
for the town of Bladensburg, Maryland.
Congratulations,
Thank you, ma'am.
Corporal. With the fancy signature there, with the gold pen from the chief. You're a lefty too, huh? Chief, may I?
Okay. And if I can ask Deputy Chief Dickinson to join me in pinning Corporal Harris. Okay. Say, can we get your signature one more time?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All
All
right.
right.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Job well done.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations again. Thank you so much. All right, and next we have Mr. Tapscott.
Mr. Kane.
All right, Mr. Kane Tapscott, please join us. Think you have some ties to the community. That last name rang a bell. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kane Robert Tapscott,
I, Kane Robert Tapscott,
having been duly appointed
having been duly appointed
as a police officer,
as a police officer,
effective March 27th, 2023,
effective March 27th, 2023,
for the town of Bladensburg,
for the town of Bladensburg,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will bear true allegiance
that I will bear true allegiance
to the United States of America,
to the United States of America,
the state of Maryland,
the state of Maryland,
and the town of Bladensburg,
and the town of Bladensburg,
that I will support
that I will support
the charter and laws
the charter and laws
of Prince George's County
of Prince George's County
and the town of Bladensburg,
and the town of Bladensburg,
and that I will obey
and that I will obey
the orders of the governor
the orders of the governor
and the officers appointed over me,
and the officers appointed over me,
according to the rules and regulations
according to the rules and regulations
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
I will,
I will,
to the best of my skill,
to the best of my skill,
judgment, and ability,
judgment, and ability,
with diligence and faith,
with diligence and faith,
and without partiality or prejudice,
and without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office
execute the office
of police officer
of police officer
for the town of Bladensburg,
for the
Maryland.
town of Bladensburg, Maryland.
Congratulations, Officer Tapscott. That's okay, you did fine. And we just need your signature there.
Another level.
Another, is that on the application? Another lefty. Oh, thank you. Gotta even this out, huh?
Now, I don't know how that happens. We have 4 lefties, Officer Kane, Officer Harris, Deputy Chief Dickinson, and myself.
That is something.
Taking over now, Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one more.
And
man.
one more, yep. Okay. Congratulations again, sir.
Thank you very much, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. So, Officer Kane, we have the same speech to every officer that we bring on to our department. We want to make sure that it's clear and it's abundantly accepted that it's a privilege to wear this uniform, but it's an honor to wear this badge and serve this great community of Bladensburg. We hold our officers in high regards, and we expect that you will go out and serve the community with professionalism, dignity, and pride. Now, I'm not going to pin you because this is a special moment for you, and the other party has no clue what's about to happen. But Officer Tapscott's grandfather is here, Mr. Robert Tapscott, we would love for you, your grandson has requested that you pin his badge on. It will be an honor. Yes.
Thank you very much, brother.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much,
Welcome to
Chief.
the team.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. That surprise of Officer Tapscott's grandfather being able to pin him. But again, we want to welcome Officer Tapscott and again, congratulate Corporal Harris on his promotion and just appreciate Chief Collington continuing to bring in the best and brightest members of the Bladensburg Police Department. So at this time, we'll proceed forward with our agenda with the approval of the minutes. And so now we'll call for a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the
I got you.
minutes. I'm like, can't talk.
It's okay. I got you. Thank you, Councilmember Rao. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any corrections, edits, or comments for the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, Mr. Charnovich, we will turn it over to you to read tonight's public comment.
Thank you, Mayor James, and good evening to everyone. I only received one public comment for the agenda this evening, which I will read into the record here. Pull it up on my screen. One moment. Dear Bladensburg Mayor, Town Council members, and staff, happy National Fair Housing Month. Regarding switching from fully virtual town work sessions and council meetings to either fully in-person or hybrid town meetings, what is the intention? Are you considering or having discussions about your strategy for the switch? If so, thank you. If not, why not? If not soon, when? After 2 years, local governments are returning to in-person meetings. Surely, I hope you generally can agree in-person meetings have value, even if that value is hard to quantify. At the very least, in-person town meetings give residents opportunities to interact with the mayor, elected town representatives, and staff, etc. In attending meetings around the state of Maryland, the public, along with their elected officials, are attending in-person meetings, town hall gatherings, and community events. The PGCMA, local municipalities, Prince George's County Council, PGCPS, and legislators in Annapolis are all attending and conducting in-person meetings and offering residents a hybrid choice. Last month, the Senate, in a bipartisan way, voted to end COVID-19 national emergency declaration in the United States. Yes, we too can have fully in-person or hybrid meetings. However, I do realize residents may want to keep virtual options because these meetings are more accessible to persons with disabilities and for individuals and families who may not have childcare or transportation readily available. There may be other challenges our neighbors have as well. So I hope you're talking about this and we'll discuss returning to fully in-person meetings, or we'll consider having a hybrid choice. I look forward to following up with you. All the best, town resident, Mrs. Carletta Lundy. That's the only public comment I have received, Mayor.
Thank you for reading the public comment tonight, Mr. Charnovich, and thank you to our resident for writing in for the public comment. At this time, we'll move forward with unfinished business. And the first item here is the Board of Supervisor of Election Appointments. Mr. Charnovich, did you want to tee this up for the council to take action?
Yes, Mayor, sure. So I presented in your packets 5 names, which you saw, I'm sure, to be for the Board of Elections. I will say that yesterday we learned that one of them wanted to withdraw their application, unfortunately. So now we are down to 4, which we need a minimum of 3, which is still meets the 3 threshold. I was hoping for the 5, but one individual responded, withdrew yesterday, and that was Ms. Terry Williams. And I would recommend that the other 4 names be put forward to be appointed to the Board of Elections.
And Mr. Charnovich, the town clerk is also considered a member of the Board of Supervisors of Elections, so that would put us at 5. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any comments or questions regarding the update from Mr. Charnovich before we move to vote on the Board of Elections supervisors?
Yeah, you have-
Councilmember Blunt.
We can't see you, like your hand is.
I
right there.
know, I have to learn how to put that screen on the back, sorry.
I think it's a vision test, Councilmember Blunt. You're like trying to see if we're paying attention over here.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, question. Can they get I think a stipend or a donation or some type of money for being on the election? I know in the past, members have been paid to serve on the Board of Election, and if we can we offer them something so that we can get if people, sorry for my voice, but you can finish, you understand what I'm saying, so.
Yes, and I believe that has been the case in the past. Mr. Charnovich, if you could add more to it. I don't know the full picture, but I do understand, especially on election day, for the amount of time that they spend, they would get something like $50 or $75, or I know there was a certain amount, even if that wasn't the case. But could you just expand on that?
Sure, Mayor. I can tee it up and then probably punt it to Mr. Tonelli, because he and I did talk about this. In general, we talked about it in the context of the upcoming budget meetings too, because this will obviously the election date will be in the next fiscal year too. So I don't know. I would probably say, as it's my understanding, that they have been compensated in the past. To start off with that, and then Mr. Tonelli, would you mind informing maybe historically, if you have that handy, what the Board of Elections has been compensated? Please.
Sure, they've been compensated, 1 second. Paul, there's it is, I'm sorry, it's coming up right now. Looks like $300 after they complete the training. And the training, I think, is a 1-day training or a 4-hour training. I forget what it is. Some people we're here all day. We're compensated $300 for half a day. They're compensated, I think, $175. We started out doing it at $100, but then we increased it.
Thank you for that, Mr. Tonelli. And I'm noticing in the charter, it does say that the compensation of the election supervisors and judges shall be determined by the council. So I think that was set years ago and it's just been continued, Councilmember Blunt, ever since then. I can't say exactly when it started though, but to your point, they do get something because it is a lot of time that they volunteer to help the town.
Because I think when Ms. Lane and them, they said they did not get anything for doing it. So that's why I was just asking the question, because they said they did not get anything for doing it, but just asking the question.
And we can definitely research that too, to follow up with you on that, if that was the case. Okay, Councilmember Rout, thank you for your patience. You had a question?
Thank you, Mayor James. I pulled up the charter, and if you all can assist me with understanding where does it say that the town clerk is a member of the Board of Elections? Because I don't interpret the charter as that. In section 302, when it states that there is a Board of Elections, it says that the town clerk shall serve as a liaison between the Board of Supervisor of Elections and the town. So I'm not understanding how the town clerk can be in a liaison and be a member of the Board of Elections.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember Rout. I'm just looking at it now as well. And I do understand the point in here in terms of the role of the clerk being a liaison, having responsibility for posting the meeting notices, the advertisements, the registration deadlines, and those pieces of information that are associated with the town elections. And so if I misspoke, I do apologize, but I do know that the town clerk does work closely with the Board of Supervisors. So just to clarify, that would be, oh, sorry, Mr. Trnovich, you may have an answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, liaison and member, I was, in a way they're different, but using them sort of interchangeably in that, I was hoping to have an odd number on the board, which I would imagine we would all want in case there needed to be a vote taken. That's why I was hoping for 5 members. But now we have 4. So I would not, personally as a liaison, I would not like a scenario where it'd be a 2-2 vote and then we're on something and then here we are. But I would hope that, it is my hope with my first election here in Bladensburg, wasn't here in 2021, but that, the process of an election should run smoothly based on the contents of our town charter and what's outlined and what we need to do. So I'm hopeful that the 4 members, because I don't believe that it says in the charter that it needs to be an odd number either, to the best of my knowledge. So while an odd number would be certainly ideal, just as you all have a 5-member council for that reason why they're odd, I would hope that we can all work together as a collective Board of Elections to put through a quality election, knowing that if it's a 4-member Board of Elections, that I would agree, Councilmember Rout, that I would not be viewed as someone who can break a tie in the event of a vote. I would agree with that as the liaison, but I also think that as the liaison, I have a responsibility to work closely with the Board of Elections to just make sure everything runs smoothly and that we hopefully don't have a board that's divisive. Hopefully we can all work in tandem to push things forward. So hopefully I answered the question in a long sense. But I do recognize that liaison and member are two different things. But also the liaison is one of the key parts of the whole process. So I
And
guess
to
my
that point,
my
Mr. Charnovich, I think too, just procedurally, it's very critical that you are the main person liaising and that they're not going to other staff members, because as clerk, that is your specific role. And so we do need to make that very clear. That is an important responsibility on your part to be that administrative liaison and source of any sort of questions, admin support, any communications that need to come back to the town so that they're not going to several different people. You have to really control that and bring that back, as necessary to the council. So definitely understand and appreciate the distinction there. I'll call for a motion to approve the candidates number 1, 2, 3, and 5, being Miss Pat Williams, the second candidate, Miss Carletta Lundy, the next candidate being Elizabeth Saunders, and the final candidate being Miss Judy Sojourner. Is there a motion to approve the current slate for the Board of Supervisors of Elections?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. To be of a support during this election year. We truly do appreciate you stepping up to serve the community. At this time, there's a few documents in our packets under legislative letters of support. The documents pertain to CB 042-2023 for Prince George's County Senior Housing Assistance Program, Act of 2023. Mr. Charnovich, to introduce that, or? Sorry, I know you're juggling home and business.
That's all right, Mayor. So to make a long story short, I'm now receiving legislative updates from the county council, which I've never been receiving before, and I've found it to be very useful to get them and to see what's happening at the county council level. And I think last month there was one example regarding it was I think it was rent stabilization or something like that. So this one actually caught my eye, and I know that this topic has been very important to the community. And in this particular case, it's related to senior housing and helping keep seniors in their homes and not I guess price gouge them, for example, out of their living situation. So I see that the county council, I think, is taking this up. I think the deadline for this one, I think I printed it out, is April 18th. We have to, if we're going to support this legislation. But I guess that the hope is to keep following these legislations that are sent over to us by the Prince George's County Council liaison. So that's it in a nutshell for this one, Mayor.
Thank you. And I do agree. And looking over the summary of the bill, and for the residents who are watching or may see the recording, the purpose of this particular legislation, CB 042-2022, is to provide rental assistance to Prince George's County senior residents based on AMI level, providing mortgage assistance. It also is establishing that the fund would have $1 million in there to support the seniors. In reading through the legislation, it also would establish a process and application, as well as an actual process that seniors would have to go to apply for the support. The detailed write-up is included in the council packet that's posted on the web, but just in a highlight format, those are some of the key areas of support that are here. It will be income or certain eligibility, I should say, requirements will be there, and there will be certain limitations on the amount of assistance that one could receive. But as our interim town administrator and clerk was saying, housing support is a huge priority for Prince George's County, and it's great to see that they're doing this for our seniors. They truly need some help as well, and we don't want them to be forgotten. As we're talking about rental assistance and mortgage assistance, we have to really make sure that we have some support there for the seniors at the county level. And so to that point, is there a motion to approve sending in a letter of support by the deadline? I think that was April 18th, close of business. Is there a motion to approve sending a letter of support for CB 042-2023?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or questions regarding the legislation? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you all so much for supporting that. And Mr. Charnovich, if you could just let us know if you need help drafting the letter. I'm sure any of us would be happy to, help with that process.
Thank you, Mayor.
Of course. So at this time, we're moving into what we call Mr. Tonelli's world, financial business. And we're kicking it off with a third quarter budget review. So I'm going to tattle a little bit. Council, he looked at me and said, really, 10 minutes? So I'm starting my timer.
I got it. Good
All
evening,
right.
Mayor and Council and residents. Yeah, I have a nice large clock in the office now, so I can watch this and bring this through one time. I supply a financial report every month. Hope everybody has a chance to look over it. But I'd like to touch on our third quarter financial report because, of course, we have 3 quarters of the year done, and now it's budget time. So we have a pretty good track record of what's going on through this fiscal year. What I have up on screen, I try to keep my financial reports in the same format because there's 20 seconds in the same format, so you can look at this month's financial report. It looks just like September's financial report, and it'll look just like last September's financial report. Just to promote transparency, so people can look back and see the trends themselves. But anyway, this is through March. We have 3 quarters of fiscal year done, and we've received 83% of our total revenues. First of all, can everyone see this okay? I have it blown up pretty well. I just want to make sure everybody can see this.
Yes.
And what's really driving that is these first 2 items up here, the property tax. Most of that is in because that's due on December 31st. But the real driver I talk about every month is the personal property tax, which is the business property tax, which has increased quite substantially, which is great. There are some delinquent filings from previous years, but it's really this year's filings and assessments that have really boosted this, and we're going to get an even larger jump in the next couple months because of the April 15th and June 15th filing deadlines, just like with income tax right here on the next line. That's why we've only received 50% of the income tax, because we haven't received this was really for the people that filed late, or filed extensions, I should say, that were due in September and October. That's this revenue coming in, and the other half of the revenue will come in when people file for the April 15th and June 15th deadlines. Okay, federal funding with ARPA, we spent and recognized 2/3 of our budget, and I'll get into the ARPA detail. I'll spend the last couple of minutes on that. State and county funding, we actually receive more in police aid funding from the state. We normally receive $145,000, and we're told we're going to receive twice that, which is great. And we received our half of our highway user revenues. Automated traffic enforcement. Through March, we received $485,000. As of today, at $633,000, and as of next week, it'll be $750,000. So that is a traffic enforcement program, and we will be receiving monthly allotments after that. Interest is in other revenues, and that is really that has really increased quite a bit. We have over, I'm not going to try to find it here in all this. Anyway, it's, I'm trying to find detail here, but we received over $200,000 already this year in interest because of the fluctuating interest market. And we have our fund balance transfer, 667,000 that is budgeted to for expenses to exceed revenues. And so far, we've had this budget every year. This has been increasing every year, but the good news is we haven't utilized it or expect to utilize it right now. This is just to balance the budget because there's usually a lot of uncertainty up here in the revenues, and our expenses normally come in under through the end of the fiscal year. A couple things I want to touch on with the department budgets. A few minutes left. Mayor and council budget is a little bit higher, and that is because we really ramped up the community events. And we did budget transfers to even bring more funds over here with our budget amendment number 4 to increase the community events budget, which is great. We're getting the community involved. COVID's ending in May. We have the fireworks coming up. I mean, we just have events after events, which is great. Town administrator is under budget because of the vacancy. Town clerk is operating a little bit over budget because of the accrued leave payout upon retirement. Finance is on budget a little bit higher because of our liability insurance, which for next budget year just attended the legit annual meeting. Insurances are going to go up, especially with public officials liability insurance for the mayor and council, and also for police liability and auto, of course, the largest ones, because claims made basis is going to increase next year. Public safety expenses are a little bit over budget. We are over budget with the overtime this year. I probably shot a little bit low on that. We've had vacancies throughout the first half of the fiscal year. And because of people backfilling positions, and it's not just vacancies, it's people also out on various leaves that at one point, I think I counted a third of our law enforcement officers were out at a given time. So then you get to backfill those shifts, which costs more. But Chief has stepped it up and filled the positions, and so that should be coming back down. Health insurance is above budget, but that's something hard to predict because as you bring new employees on, it's based on enrollment choices. So we do our best to budget, a certain percentage are going to take a family plan, a certain percentage are going to take individual plans. So that's where you see the mix, and then people's plans change during the year for different family events such as births and everything, or marriage and everything else. So that's when more insurance picks up, which is great. I'm not saying anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that that's difficult to budget sometimes. Public safety. I just did public safety. Public Works is operating under budget because we did transfer some money out there because of the vacancy to the Director of Public Works position. So that has been under budget. Speed camera expenses. We haven't had many speed camera expenses yet. We have through the last budget amendment number 5 approved these following items for the 2 vehicles, for the electric bikes, and for the citizen activation software. So those will increase, and we almost have to do a rolling budget with the speed camera program, just because it's almost it's what's called a pay-go budget. As the money comes in, we see a trend. We go ahead and spend it and bring it before the mayor and council what we want to use these funds for, and they have to be used for public safety cost, and Chief will drive that discussion. ARPA projects, I do want to touch on that really quick in my last few minutes. I have about 2.5 minutes left if anyone's keeping score. Quick snapshot down here. Okay, if you all can see this. Community assistance between when we started this in April of 2021 through now, so it was exactly a year, just over $1 million. And we've helped out, and we've helped out 226 households with community assistance, which is an average of about $4,400 per assistance grant going out. So, so if you figure it, I mean, that's between, on average, 2 to 4 months of rental assistance on average that we're helping folks in the town of Bladensburg. But we're also doing other things as well. We've done some, we funded the salary enhancements and positions. We funded capital outlay to include the additional police vehicles, which we need. We're on a replacement schedule to keep these vehicles up to date. And as we grow our fleet and update our fleet, the amount of repairs and downtime and officers, you know, switching vehicles and moving gears down because we have a more updated fleet. We also moved money into the Boswick repairs, and for the first time, I think the fire department said in over 100 years, that the town could buy the Bladensburg Volunteer Fire Department a piece of apparatus, which would, you know, which would definitely serve our residents. We also have some funds here set aside for the business and nonprofit assistance, which we are getting applications in, the mortgage assistance as well. And we also have on the budget the security camera assistance, which hasn't been, we've been busy with all this up here, but we are getting to this one next. So, and that's about all the time I have. I just want to quickly touch on to let everybody know where we are. We normally only have about 3 minutes to talk through our financial report, but this gives me just a little bit more time to go in summary detail, I guess you should say. So if anybody has any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. I see a hand from Councilmember Blunt.
Hello.
Sorry, Attorney. Question. You might have answered this before because when we get donations, I know the police department gets a lot of donations from various places. Where is that on here, the donations, and if it's all spent, how does that work? Does it go on this or it goes somewhere else? Just to know how much donation we actually received within a year.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just pull this up really quick. That goes under other. I'm trying to pull this up. Good question. Okay. Restricted grants. Here we go. That's $9,000. Those are the donations that came in directly to the police department, and this is, Chief, help me out. I think this is the shop with the cop donations. The 2 checks, I believe, that came in, and we keep track. And then there's a grants expense down here as well. So we keep track of those separately, even though it's like its own separate fund, you know. So it's not mixed in with operating funding or operating expenses. So they come in here on the revenues and expensed out here. There's a little bit more in grant expense here. I believe that was for the current cost of the first part. Rich, help me out. Is that the first part engineering cost for the 57th Avenue, I believe? I got to pull that one up, but we'll get reimbursed for that.
That's correct, Vito.
And those are not, that's not mixed in with the money that's in their fund money with those programs. We don't put that on in our budget with programs that they get donations for. Is that pulled out? Like it's
Yes.
shot for the cop, that's not in the regular budget money because they get funding from outside sources.
Correct, and that's why it's separated down here in the grants line item.
All right, thank you.
Even though it's a public safety expense, there's separate funding coming in here. I could just call a line item, contributions, but
Yeah,
I
something
like to keep
okay.
it. I like to keep it as restricted funds, so it's restricted just for that purpose, for
Okay.
Shop with the Cop.
Thank
And
you
any
so
future
much.
donations, especially as the cops program gets, is ramping up and everything, and that's how we'll keep track of monies and keep those separate.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli, and thank
Appreciate
you, Councilmember Blunt, for that question. So Vito, sticking with you, we're gotta make up some time here, but on the FY budget introduction, I know we have our budget meeting starting next week, but did you want to just go through the intro of the FY24 budget?
Sure. And Mayor, I'll keep this down to 5 minutes so you can make some time up. Okay, so budget process has been the same year after year. Unfortunately, we have the same departments, the same funds, I guess you should say, and we don't have anything more complex, even though it is complex, such as utilities or enterprise funds, such as like an airport or something like that. But or a separate parks department, or something that is a other revenue generation department besides most of the tax funding and intergovernmental funding that comes through. So FY24 budget, can everybody see this okay? Okay.
Yes.
The real estate taxes, as we saw through and we're going to have on the agenda next month, is going to be a constant yield hearing. The real estate assessments went up 3%. A nice driver for this budget is the personal property tax, which we just talked about. I raised that considerably based on the trend. Federal funding, I'll get to this. I will need guidance from the council for the ARPA funding. I put in what we know today, what we need today, but that's going to take some more discussion. State funding increased because of the increased amount, and we're anticipating also for the governor's office of crime prevention. Help me out, chief. Office, okay, for the state funding for the police department. And also we're getting almost $300,000 now for the highway user revenues, which is a big jump, which is about 25% jump. Service charges, again, this is a summary. Big part in here is I have $1 million in there for the speed camera program. Why? Because we've already got $750,000 in there right now, and chief may bring online also under this, but separate is going to be the red light traffic enforcement as well. So that could be another enhancement to the budget. Other revenues increased because of the interest costs I just talked about. The grants is carryover for the CDBG grant that's not being, that just kicked off now. So if it doesn't get done this fiscal year, I put a placeholder on here for this next fiscal year, and also put in that other $10,000 for the COPS program to receive donations in for Shop with the Cop, and any more transfer from fund balance. This is what we just talked about. This is when the expenses exceed the revenues. And this is the lowest level right now I have in the last 5 or 6 years, which is good. And so what's really helping is this ARPA money, which is offsetting some staff salaries and increases, and also some hard purchases, and also the automated traffic enforcement is really helping to push down the transfer from fund balance. To touch on the departments really quick, a couple minutes left. Mayor and council budget, I increased this because of the what we talked about last meeting is for the contractual service. I'm sorry, that's our town administrator. Is for the increase in the community events based on what we're doing next year and projecting for next year. Town administrator budget increased for the contractual services to help get through our projects, and also for increase the marketing budget as well. Clerk and finance, just normal incremental increases. Finance went 5% because of the increase in the liability insurance premium that we're expecting to receive. Public safety why is it 25%? Well, this includes the speed camera funding coming through. So as you increase we'll talk more about this. I have a separate column here under traffic enforcement. It's a separate fund for speed cameras. I have increased expenditures in there to offset the revenues. And some of those increased expenditures are the large ticket items. Haven't talked to Chief fully about this yet, but I picked off the highest ticket items, which includes the uniforms, the communications contracts for the radios in the tower, automated traffic expenses, which is the monthly invoice, the monthly fees of the program, and also for vehicle replacements for next year. So that's why the budget for public safety jumped 25%. It's really because of the speed camera expenses from the revenues coming in. Public works, and also increased fuel substantially. I've been burned on the fuel, so I think I budgeted 75,000 this year, and we're already at that point. So we'll spend close to 100 grand by the end of the year. I put the fuel cost to match that. The same with public works. Why theirs jumped more than the 2 to 3% is because of increase in fuel. ARPA, we'll talk more about that at the budget meeting, at the upcoming budget sessions, plans with the ARPA. And just one quick thing, what I have in here, the big question is about COLAs. The inflation report came out today, it's 5% overall. MML, their budget technical memo said 6%, but in the Baltimore area, 6%. But if you narrow it down more just into the DC Arlington area, it's 4.5%. So, I put 5% in there just as a placeholder for discussion purposes. But that might just not, is that enough for folks to keep up? We can discuss that. So I'll send this out to everybody. I just wanted you to show it to you now, so everybody sees it once and just kind of introduce it, and we'll send this out tonight or tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. And I know our first meeting kicks off our budget work session Monday night at 5:30. So just really look forward to taking our time going through this line by line and getting a better understanding and talking through all of the expenses and anticipated revenue for next year.
And I invite everybody. I invite all the community to tune in as well, because this is your tax money and your community and your services.
Exactly. And we go through it first so you can see the deliberations behind it, and then give us your input after you've seen it department by department, after we've reviewed every single line item for expenses and revenue, to offer public input. So please, to all of our community members, be sure to tune in. And if you miss it, just go back to YouTube or our Town of Bladensburg Facebook page to watch those minutes, or the meeting recordings, because we really do want to make sure that we have your input. And I'm sorry, Mr. Tonelli, were you saying something else?
No, I think Councilmember Rout had a question.
Yes, Councilmember Rout.
So you sort of answered it, Mayor James, but I just, for clarity, I just wanted to know at what portion, which budget session would the residents be able to weigh in, and what would that process be? Do we need to accept it in a written form, or would they be able to speak? I've been asked that question throughout the time of my interactions with residents and then some businesses. So they just wanted to know that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Charnovich, I don't know if you have the full schedule in front of you, but just from previous years, what we've done is had our budget work sessions first. And then after we've gone through every department, opened it up for community input. And I remember in the heart of COVID, when we were completely virtual, the residents could call in. I remember Mr. White's was on the call at one point. He was the only resident on there, but it did give him that opportunity to raise questions. And so that's the purpose of that meeting. Again, after we go through everything, that final meeting that we have closer to when we're getting down to the end of our deliberations is when we want the residents to weigh in. Not that they can't submit emails and reach out, give us a call or email in advance, but I don't have the dates in front of me. And so I was just trying to ask Mr. Charnovich if you had the list that we had at the last meeting. If not, I can try to find it.
I
So
have it.
Mayor,
Oh, sorry. Mhm.
no, that's okay. I was gonna say that I don't have the list in front of me, but I was gonna note that Mr. Tonelli had his hand up. I don't know, maybe he wanted to answer your question, but before I punt it to him, I would say that I guess there are two layers to it. One layer is we can accept public comment, comment on the budget from anybody, anytime. So if anybody has an idea about the budget, pass it to Mr. Tonelli and I's way in a general sense. But then the second layer would be questions that arise out of our budget sessions. So like you said, Mayor, if somebody wants to rewatch a meeting or join a meeting and then, make a note and say that resident A has 3 questions, they can write them down or email them or whatever we have, and then we can take them that way. Or Mr. Tonelli, I can punt it to you too. I don't recall last year, did we have an actual public hearing at some point too? Doesn't that occur, Mr. Tonelli?
Well, okay, so real quick, you can see here, next Monday, we have our first budget work session. We'll probably get through all the revenues and a couple of the administrative departments. The following Monday, we'll get through the public safety and public works and ARPA. But we'll be making, we'll have full discussion along the way. And I encourage residents, as they have questions, just contact us. Now, normally during work sessions, there's no public comment. I can tell you that. Now, during the constant yield hearing, what most counties and municipalities do, that is really, this constant yield hearing, it's about the tax rate. It's really the time when folks come and talk to the elected officials about the budget, their concerns or questions. Even though it's not per se a question and answer, if we have, that's when we encourage the feedback from the public. But really, at any time during these sessions up here, during these budget work sessions, if anyone has a question, as Mr. Charnovich said, please send us an email. Sometimes I can just I can send a quick response back, detailed response back. The more folks that pay attention and and weigh in is better. So.
And Mr.
Councilmember Rao,
Tonelli,
just go ahead, and encourage folks to, to weigh in, please.
and I would just add one thing to Mr. Tonelli's remarks is I think not waiting until the end, but as we have each of these meetings, the work sessions, if you have questions, send them to us so we can be addressing them throughout the process rather than waiting until the very end. Because we do adjust as we're working through these things, because it's a work session. We're working through each of these budget line items for revenue and expenses. And so it is really helpful to get those emails or calls, whether to the council or the staff as we're going through that process, because if there's questions after the April 17th meeting that we can come back and discuss at the April 24th meeting, it really is helpful. And if we can answer those questions for you more easily and with expediency, it's a better service to our residents, whether it's residents or business owners, to all of our stakeholders who have questions. So with that, Mr. Tonelli, we'll move on to the next item for financial business. I did send, or actually the entire council received an email from Reverend Gail Addison regarding her graduation scholarship banquet, which she hosts each spring, usually in May, for the students who are graduating from high school from her program. And in the email, she noted that there are approximately 7 students who are Bladensburg residents And the request was to support the graduation by purchasing tickets to the banquet and or providing letters or certificates or citations for class of 2023 graduates, recognizing their achievements. There was also mention about a video, but she did say she would reach out to us individually. I don't know if you all have gotten calls about that, but that was item number 5 on there. So just a heads up if you didn't see that. But for the purpose of tonight, just wanted to know if the council did want to purchase tickets to the gala to support the event as we did last year. We did have, I think about 5 or 6 of us who were able to go to support. We also provided the students with certificates. And then I believe we also used ARPA funding to just give them a little graduation gift. I think it was $200 or something around that, $100 or something. Vito, correct me, you probably remember better than me or anyone else on the call, but it was just something to help them as they're preparing to go off to college. It's expensive with all the things that they have to purchase to get ready. So it's just a small token of appreciation. So the reason for putting it on the agenda tonight was, again, to just get agreement. Mr. Tonelli said $250 was the amount we gave to the students. So again, let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or yes. So there are 7 Bladensburg students. So just wanted to understand the will of the council in terms of our level of support for this year. So Councilmember Brown, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I definitely agree that we should support again this year, purchasing a table for those of us who are able to attend if our schedules allow. But I would also like to suggest that we give them more than $250 because I don't know, what is that, by 1 book or something? But I know that every little bit, 2 books, okay, every little bit helps. But if we can increase that amount that we're giving to them, there's 7 of our Bladensburg students. But in terms of that's what I would like to bring forth.
So what
Okay.
amount did you want to increase to, Councilmember Brown? Are you thinking 300 or
I'm thinking 500.
500?
That
So
means
that
I'm
would be
thinking, I mean,
$3,500 total. And are we thinking to pull it from ARPA funding? Or what did you have in mind?
I would defer to Mr. Vito for that, but yeah, if we can, that's yeah, that works.
I
for me.
mean, from last year, that was how we were able to give the students the $250 gift certificates or gift cards, whatever they were. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Tonelli, yes.
I think last year we pulled them from the community grants line item.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that right,
because
Ms. Rao?
yeah.
I believe, yes.
Because back in 2011, 2015 and stuff, we and I don't know why I thought the amount was, I don't know why I thought the amount was $1,000 for each student, but maybe I was wrong. Back
I believe
then,
it was.
It
but
used to
it was
be.
more than
Yes.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was back in like 20. You're right, Ms. Brown. It was like back
Mhm.
2014, 2015.
Yeah. Mhm.
But the difference is I think the council, instead of, well, initially the money was being given to In Time Harvest to give out the scholarships, and then later changed to have the money go directly to the schools on behalf
Yeah.
of the students. So that way it was
But the
just a
amount was
cleaner
still the same.
process. Mhm.
But the amount was still the same, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I like I said, and anywhere, if we want to go back to that same amount, but anywhere to up to $1,000, I'm fine with that, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Rout?
Thank you, Mayor James. So I am definitely in full support of attending the scholarship banquet and supporting the young people who are Bladensburg residents. I just want to bring up just being fair and being equitable. We have a host of Bladensburg residents that are graduating and who have not decided to, be a part of Reverend Gail Addison's program. And so I just want us to caution ourselves with providing, significant amounts of money as a stipend or anything, just because we have other residents in our town that may be going off to college that may have a need. And so for fairness, we have to be fair across the board. Just because that they're involved in this program, are we going to give them, a stipend or something? I do think that last year, I do recall, Mr. Tonelli, that we took a portion out of the community items and then a portion out of the ARPA funds for the purposes of, because we were deep in COVID, we wanted them to buy the necessary items to be added to their trunk, like not a trunk per se, but when you go off to college, you have a trunk party, they needed those items to remain safe as they were going into school in COVID. And that was part of our justification as to why we wanted to really send them off. I know last year we talked extensively around this budget time about a scholarship. And so I think we need to, as a council, consider going back to our scholarship because I look, I have 5 children myself. One is, pre in college. We do need to support our children who are deciding to go to college. I just want to make sure that it's fair and it's equitable for children who are not enrolled in this program. And so I am supporting just to keep it at the same amount as last year.
Thank you, Councilmember Rao. And I do agree. We have so many students. Just looking at the numbers, over 6,000 kids come to Bladensburg schools every day. And I wish we could help every single one of them with a scholarship. And so I would recommend doing both. I had recalled also the conversation about doing a Bladensburg scholarship so that we are able to help those who don't fit the criteria of programs like In Time Harvest, because there's more kids out there who are not a part of that, but who, as you said, have a strong need. The families have a strong need. So would the council be comfortable maybe we increase the contribution to the 7 students in Time Harvest to $500, but then we levelize that with a Bladensburg scholarship for students who can apply for the equal amount, and we do 7 scholarships just to see. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think staff may have even had challenges, or it may have been the year before, connecting with all the students and getting them their certificates. I don't think we did money in 2021, but I just want to make sure that we're not putting the effort into it and then the students aren't coming to pick up the gift cards or receiving it. Mr. Tonelli, can you speak to that? I'm trying to remember from 2022.
I'm pulling that up at the same time, Mayor.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping you're going to keep talking, so I could. Give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. It's going to be under community funding.
Because I think, and correct me if anyone else remembers, because I think Councilmember Rao, you went to the dinner. I believe we took their certificates there, but they had to come to town hall because we didn't want to be transporting the gift cards. And that's where I just want to caution, because if they weren't all picked up. I just remember
we didn't get them to In Time Harvest Ministry on time to be presented during the awards program. Yes,
that's right. That's right.
We couldn't hand them to you. So just leave it back in. We didn't get them.
Yeah, and that was the only reason I was just bringing it up. I mean, to go through that and then the students don't even come to pick up the money. We could be helping kids from Bladensburg High School or Elizabeth Seton or, somewhere else who aren't part of that program.
Yeah.
So,
and I think as we come together though, as the mayor counselor, I'm sorry, Mr. Tonelli.
No,
And
no.
really
Go
flesh
ahead.
out our scholarship program so that it does include, all of the students here in Bladensburg. And I don't know if that's something we've given to the school and it spreads out or individually or whatever, but yeah, I think it's just time for us. We've been talking about it and talking about it. But
Exactly.
just
Time
finding
to
that
do it.
time to come together and flesh out what that looks like.
Well, I'm happy to help council member and help with the application and just to lighten the load on staff to give them a starting point. But Mr. Tonelli, I think you found what you were looking for.
Yeah, I did put that under the community events budget last year, because we're running under, because I thought that was part of the, because at the same time we had registration fees of $100 per member attending the dinner, and we had the gift cards available then to hand out. But as I think Councilmember Brown just said, or Councilmember Rout, we didn't have the certificates, so then they had to come back in. And I think I want to say one person didn't pick theirs up, one or two, and we still have the cards here.
Yeah, so it's just something to be aware of. I don't want to use that as a reason not to help the students, but just wanted to make sure everyone was aware. So for the time being, it sounds like we have agreement to purchase tickets for a table for the gala, and then also to award $500 gift cards to each of the 7 students, and their names are listed in our packet, so you can see exactly who those students are and confirm their residence with the city and zip code that is also listed there. So for Mr. Charnovich, let me simplify the motion. So is there a motion to approve purchasing tickets for a table for the End Time Harvest Ministries 2023 graduation banquet, as well as providing $500 gift cards to each of the 7 graduates from the town of Bladensburg?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
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 Any nays?
Nay.
1 nay. Thank you. And the lesson from last year is if we don't get them in early, then the kids have to pick them up from us. So we have to get those certificates and everything in by Reverend Gale's deadline. I want to start moving us a little quicker. I didn't realize it was 8:15. So time is getting away from us. The next item, Chief Collington, purchase of police department mobile data computers and associated equipment.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor, council, colleagues, and residents. I'll be very brief. I just want to, point out that we are doing very well with the speed camera program that we have set up in the town of Bladensburg. And under Maryland state law, it says that those funds can be used only for public safety purposes. And with that being said, it also says that we can only keep 10% of our operating budget. Anything over that has to go back to the state comptroller. So unless we can show an expense. So that's why, as Mr. Tonelli said earlier, it is sort of like a rolling budget because like last month, the town received $181,000. And today we have almost 600, over 600,000, $650,000. That being said, we're trying to bring our fleet into the 21st century with new equipment, not refurbished equipment. We have been told by our IT people that they cannot continue to upgrade our MDTs because they are failing. It can't take the upgrades. And many of the officers have come in and said that when they leave a certain location within town, including our code enforcement, the computers go offline. That can be problematic for us in trying to maintain adequate service and connectivity with dispatch as well as our report writing and things like that. So with that being said, I'm asking the council to consider passing. We would like to purchase 25 new Panasonic books. These tough books, they are under the state contract. We verified that today. It is under state contract, and it's for our vendor. This comes from our vendor that outfits our cars, and they've been doing so for a number of years. The last couple cars we had vehicles we had outfitted, unfortunately, we had to borrow computer stands from another agency that has upgraded their system, and we had these leftovers, and that is no longer going to be the case because they don't even make the equipment when we buy new cars to outfit them. So the total budget, these are 25 tough books, and this includes the installation, this includes the hardware, the power supplies, and everything that in the computer stands. These computers will last us up to 10 years because we are able to now upgrade the computers as we move along. The ones we have served their shelf life. So they are failing, and we need to move on with those. So the cost of the 25 new tough books will be $210,049. And again, this is not coming from the town. This is coming strictly from the speed camera funds. So we want to make sure that that's clear. It doesn't cost the town a single dime for this equipment, but it is bringing us online with 21st century technology. So with that, I'll entertain any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Chief. And I do understand the previous iteration of those notebooks came through the federal surplus program or one of the government surplus programs. So they were already old when we got them and refurbished. And I understand 100%, they really are at the end of their useful shelf life. And so it really is time, and the funds are there. But you do have a question from Councilmember Blunt.
Me again, Chief. Question, so what would happen with the old ones? Would you be donating them or?
So, yes, ma'am.
I mean, I agree, get what you need, get what you need, but what would happen with the old ones?
So there are some, unfortunately, there's some departments that aren't in the shape that we're in. And if they would like to purchase them, then we would try to see what we can do to, resell them. Like last ones, we tried to sell back to the company that sold them to us. So we'll try to see if we can salvage them and get something in return to turn back to the town. That's what we'll do. But otherwise, they're just useless at this time because no one is being able to upgrade them.
Thank you, Chief.
They've used up their shelf life.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. And then one more question from Councilmember Brown, and then we'll move to the vote.
Thanks, Mayor. Chief, real quick, can you trade them in?
Yeah, if we can, but well, I can tell you that the vendors that they gave us a presentation, they said no, they are not interested in bringing back bookends.
That was kind of a rhetorical, but thank you for answering anyway. But my question is, so going back to the 10%, and you're saying that if only 10% of the funds, go back to that, the 10%, and then the remaining has to go where if it's not used for public safety. I just want you to, just real quick.
Real quick, because it's 8:21, Chief.
Yeah, I know, we have a lot still more on the agenda.
So we are only allowed to keep 10% of the town's operating budget. So if our budget is 6 million, we can only keep 600,000. And unless we can show expenses like this, where we're using the money, or we're paying salaries or things like that, that can offset and we can maintain as much money of it as possible. But if we don't do anything with it, we have to turn over the remaining to the state comptroller.
Well, we're definitely gonna do something with it. So I know that's not a problem, right? I know the Chief's gonna do something with it.
Truly.
Don't spend it all.
So with that, I will call for a motion to approve the purchase of the necessary tough tough books for the police department, as stated in the frontline estimate totaling $210,049. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, Chief. Excellent. So that takes us through financial business. The other item here is an Earth Month proclamation. Mr. Charnovich, are you prepared to read that for the community? Did he freeze like that?
Is he stuck?
He's frozen.
You all scared them.
That's a cute picture though. That's a cute picture.
Okay, we will come back to that. He may have lost connectivity. So next up, again, the annexation specialist is being tabled until our next meeting because we do need more time to discuss that. The small cell tower application process was discussed in the work session tonight. The decisions before the town council, as laid out by Sue Ellen Ferguson, our town attorney, were whether or not the town wants to let the county's tower committee review any small cell applications that are for access to Bladensburg right-of-ways. And then the next process would be, once the county reviews and approves those, they would hand the information over to us, and we basically, the town of Bladensburg, would issue a permit. That was option one. Or the second option was to follow the pattern that College Park has taken, which is to hire CTC, which happens to be the same engineering firm that the county uses, and hire them to review the applications after they come to us from the county with the municipal perspective in mind, understanding that if the latter is done, they have more familiarity with the community and helping us to ensure that we don't have these things in residential areas. We work to restrict them to the more commercial areas of the town where they wouldn't be as much of a concern to our town residents. So just want to open that up to the council for input. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor James. Just real quick, one of the things is that we weren't able to get a cost estimate in terms of some range in terms of what that would cost the town. And then the other thing too is that we would still have to adopt the county standards. So, you know, how does that really help us? I mean, how does that really help us? Because, you know, we're spending the money, we still have to adopt the county standards.
Right. And adopting the standard wouldn't be extensive because we do have the attorney on retainer. So it wouldn't be an additional cost for her to do that. And then, and this came up during the work session as well, if the county Tower Commission is doing that upfront legwork to review the applications and the specs and everything that comes in, that's not an expense the town would have to take. And so we could almost just, if the will of the council is to follow that process, just to see how many applications are we getting. Is there a bottleneck in terms of what we as the town can push out, because there is a shot clock period here, and come back together and determine, okay, we may need to allocate some resources here to have a consultant or a contractor managing this for us. So it's not that we have to make that commitment today, because as you said, we don't know cost estimates. We could work with staff to get that information and then be better informed to make that decision to determine if it is worth that cost. Councilmember Rout, and then I'll come to you, Mr. Charnovich. I just realized your hand was up too. Councilmember.
Thank you so much, Mayor James. I'm just concerned about the municipal voice. Oftentimes we don't have a seat at the table, and I think this is an excellent opportunity to have a say through a contractor, and we can have the information derived in the permitting process. And so through, I know, higher entities, MML, PGCMA. We are working legislatively to figure out how we can continue to have a voice as a municipality. So I would like for us to consider looking at the portion where we would hire the third party, because as Attorney Ferguson had shared with us, oftentimes we can say additional items as it relates to the schools that are close by, the things that the county is not really looking at with regard to the poles. You brought up a great point, Mayor James, with the historic preservation. Imagine them putting something right in for a Boswick house, like right there, So I just think let's not lose our voice here. So please consider that perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout. Mr. Charnovich, you froze again. Okay, you're back. Over to you.
I'm back, Mayor. Sorry about that. All of us, my computer froze and it said.
You
And,
may have
everything-
to turn your camera off because you're freezing up again. So
Can you hear me
that'll
better
save
now?
you. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, couple points. Do the month. What I. And I do have a proclamation to read into the record. It wasn't in your packet. You didn't miss that accidentally, not it's into the packet, but I can read that back to that item. It's not very long, but I don't want to jump ship. I just want to kind of rehash what I missed. Sorry about that. But so on the other topic, I have a comment also, and I'm not sure. Unfortunately didn't get to see the discussion. But I caught Councilmember Rout's comments right there, and I tend to think that because I thought about this quite a bit, and I think this particular topic is it's going to kind of want to be a necessary evil per se, in that I think in my own personal viewpoint, from an administrator's perspective, the local government should do their best to keep control where they can. Will it be more paperwork? Will it be more work? Yes, I think it will. But I think that there are just going to be cases where the local government will want to look at these applications and see what's going on. There is a public input process. I didn't get to touch on this in the work session, but there is a public input process at the county level. When Ms. Ferguson referenced the county board, so town residents could theoretically, follow that process, provide comment, go to those meetings, and the town of Bladensburg could also publish those meetings. If we see a Bladensburg application on there, we can, publish when it's going to that board. But I tend to think in the big picture, it's you do want to maintain some level of control though, over the process. You may have 6 sites that are just fine. But then that's like Ms. Ferguson said, you're not, local governments are not going to stop this coming through. It's the way of the future. And it's just a matter of being able to regulate it the best you can. And especially the concept of being able to get the reimbursement of the fees for the application. That'll be good, for at least from a cost perspective, whenever you are engaging your consultant. But I also agree with Ms. Ferguson that nobody has this skill set in house.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's my perspective.
Yeah.
I think that it's kind of a necessary evil. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, it's more work, but also I don't think local government wants to give up its control where it can.
Right. And like you said, she did state how we can pass on the cost incurred to the applicant. So we are protected. It's just, almost like pay-go. We have to pay it up front in order to get it back. But at least we do get those dollars back. And while we may have a great relationship with county government now, we don't know what the future holds, and that may change. And what if they're approving things that aren't in the best interest, even with public comment? Those things happen, and we saw that in recent history. So with that, again, want to give the rest of the council member McBride, council member Blunt, No comments? Okay, so it sounds like Councilmember Brown, let me know if you're okay with this too, but really just going with the option where we, shoot, I lost my place on my notes, where we actually make it our decision point that we would prefer to contract a consultant such as CTC to manage the application process for us. And then that way that expertise is again looking at the applications from the municipal view and also with the understanding that the fees would be passed back to the applicant. Does that work for you, Councilmember Brown? Okay. Okay, great. So at this point, we don't have a dollar amount that we're approving, but it sounds like there's consensus to proceed in that manner. So we'll just rely on you, Mr. Charnovich, to circle up with Mrs. Ferguson and let her know so she can help us get connected with CTC because we're going to need them to come to the next work session to talk with the council about the process, lay out the cost for their services so we can move forward. Because again, there is a shot clock period and we can't violate that or it puts us at a disadvantage and in violation with FCC guidelines.
Mayor, just as a check, I'm sorry, it's 8:31.
All right.
Timekeeping. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. So the next one was the ethics and financial disclosure form amendment. And we, where is it? I think, Mr. Charnovich, we have to do a reading for that ordinance and then vote to adopt it. I see your hand. Go ahead, Mr. Charnovich.
Yes, that is correct.
And did you have an opportunity to draft the ordinance previously?
So the ordinance is in your packet, drafted by Ms. Ferguson. I guess I will point out it kind of touches upon Councilmember Brown's question in the work session regarding how it's written in a very legalese format with the brackets and how things are removed and edited. So I'll read into the record. I'll do my best to kind of navigate those waters. But also,
yeah, no worries. I was thinking you had typed up like the cleaned up version just as a backup. So I'm sorry, I'm pulling that now.
No, that's all right. No problem, Mayor. So I'll read this one into the record, but also for the general public watching. Once this is signed, if you have this, we're gonna have a copy available in the town hall for inspection. So if you want to look at it, based on if you can't totally follow what I'm reading here into the record. Well, I might need some water for this one. My camera's not on you, so you can't get your visual, everybody. But I'm taking a sip of water.
Please hurry. It's 8:35. Quick sips.
That's it. Regulating my sip, Mayor. That's a long ordinance, so give me a second. Ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg to amend the Chapter 8 Code of Ethics of the Town Code by repealing and reenacting 8-6 conflicts of interest and prohibitions, 8-7 solicitation and or acceptance of gifts, 8-9 filing of financial disclosure statements by elected officials and candidates, and 8-13 definitions to conform to recent changes to the Maryland Public Ethics Law and to move 3 provisions from 8-7 to 8-6. Whereas pursuant to 5-201 of the Local Government Article Annotated Code of Maryland, Town of Bladensburg has the power to pass such ordinances as it deems necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the municipality and to prevent and remove nuisances. And whereas in Chapter 8 of the Town Code, the town has adopted a code of ethics as required by 5-801 of the General Provisions Article Annotated Code of Maryland and its predecessor provisions, 15-801 of the State Government Article. And whereas the mayor and council have determined that it is in the public interest to repeal and reenact various provisions in Chapter 8 Code of Ethics to conform the code to recent amendments to the Maryland Public Ethics Law. Section 1, now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the mayor and council of Bladensburg in public meeting assembled that Chapter 8 Code of Ethics 8-6 conflicts of interest and prohibitions be and is hereby repealed, reenacted, and amended to read as follows. All right, conflicts of interest and prohibitions. A-F has the asterisk. It's a matter remaining unchanged. And then letter G is a matter that is new, added to the law. Disclosure of confidential information other than in the discharge of official duties. An official or employee may not disclose or use confidential information that the official or employee acquired by reason of the official's or employee's public position, and that is not available to the public for the economic benefit of the official or employee or that of another person. Letter H is new. That is participation in procurement. An individual or a person that employs an individual who assists a town agency in the drafting of specs, an invitation for bids, or request for proposals for a procurement may not submit a bid or proposal for that procurement or assist or represent another person, directly or indirectly, who is submitting a bid or proposal for the procurement. The commission may establish exemptions from the requirements of this section for providing descriptive literature, sole source procurements, and written comments solicited by the procuring agency. Letter I is new material. Use of equipment or personnel. An official or employee may not allow, permit, or facilitate the unauthorized use of town-owned facilities, vehicles, equipment, materials, or personnel for private matters or profit. Letter J, an official or employee may not retaliate against an individual for reporting or participating in an investigation of a potential violation of the town public ethics law. Section 2, be it further ordained and enacted by the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg, Chapter 8, Code of Ethics, 8-7, solicitation and or acceptance of gifts, be and is hereby repealed, reenacted, and amended to read as follows. Solicitation and or acceptance of gifts. A and B is unchanged. And letter C, an official or employee may not knowingly accept a gift directly or indirectly from a person that the official or employee knows or has the reason to know, is doing business with or seeking to do business with the town office, agency, boards, or commission with which the official or employee is affiliated, has financial interest that may be substantially and materially affected in a manner distinguishable from the public generally by the performance or non-performance of the official duties of the official or employee. 3, is engaged in an activity regulated or controlled, be the officials or employees' governmental unit. Number 4 is a lobbyist with respect to matters within the jurisdiction of the official or employee. Or 5, which is new matter, is an association or any entity acting on behalf of an association that is engaged only in representing counties or municipal corporations. Letter D and letter E are unchanged. Letters F, G, and H are all struck through. And I can read those. Disclosure of confidential information, letter F, other than in the discharge of official duties. And
Mr. Charnovich, since they were removed, we can skip that just to the updates if that's okay.
Sure, no problem, Mayor. Gladly. Thank you. Section 3, be it further ordained and enacted by the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg, the Chapter 8 Code of Ethics, Section 8-9, filing of financial disclosure statement by elected officials and candidates, be and is hereby repealed, reenacted, and amended to read as follows. 8-9, filing of financial disclosure statement by elected officials and candidates. Letters A and B remain unchanged. Letter C, the commission or office designated by the commission shall maintain all financial disclosure statements filed under this section. Financial disclosure statements shall be made available during normal office hours for examination and copying by the public, subject to reasonable fees and administrative procedures established by the commission. The commission or the office designated by the commission may not provide public access to an individual's home address that the individual has designated as the individual's home address. Number 4, an individual examines or copies a financial disclosure statement. The commission or the office designated by the commission shall record the name and home address of the individual reviewing or copying the statement. And number 2, the name of the person whose financial disclosure statement was examined or copied. Number 2, upon request by the official or employee whose financial disclosure statement was examined or copied, the commissioner of the office designated by the commission shall provide the official with a copy of the name and home address of the person who reviewed the official's financial disclosure statement. Number 3, which is new matter, the commission or office designated by the commission shall not provide public access to information related to consideration received from the University of Maryland Medical System, a governmental entity of the state or a local government in the state, or 3, a quasi-governmental entity of the state or local government in the state. Letter D is unchanged. Letter E, at a minimum, the financial disclosure statement form shall contain the following information. 1 through 3 is unchanged. 4, gifts. A statement filed under this section shall include a schedule of each gift in excess of $20 in value, or a series of gifts totaling $100 or more received during the reporting period from or on behalf of, directly or indirectly, any one person who does business with or is regulated by the town, or from an association or any entity acting on behalf of an association that is engaged only in representing counties or municipal corporations. Sections 5 through 9 are unchanged. Number 10, which is new matter, relationship with the University of Maryland Medical System, state or local government or quasi-governmental entity. Number 1, an individual shall disclose the information specified in General Provisions Article 5-607J1, Annotated Code of Maryland, for any financial or contractual relationship with the following. Coming down to the home stretch. Letter A, the University of Maryland Medical System. Letter B, a governmental entity of the state or a local government in the state, or letter C, a quasi-governmental entity of the state or local government in the state. Number 2, for each financial or contractual relationship reported, the schedule shall include a description of the relationship, letter B, the subject matter of the relationship, and letter C, the consideration. Letter F, for the purpose of this section, the following interests are considered to be the interest of the individual making the statement. An interest held by a member of the individual's immediate family, if the interest was at any time during the reporting period, directly or indirectly controlled by the individual. Letter number 2, an interest held at any time during the applicable period by number 1, a business entity in which the individual held a 10% or greater interest. Number 2, a business entity described in section 1 of the subsection in which the business entity held a 25% or greater interest. 3, a business entity described in section 2 of this subsection in which the business entity held a 50% or greater interest. And 4, a business entity in which the individual directly or indirectly through an interest in one or a combination of other business entities holds a 10% or greater interest. Number 3, an interest held by a trust or an estate in which at any time during the reporting period, the individual held a reversionary interest or was a beneficiary, or 2, if a revocable trust, the individual was a settlor. Letter G remains unchanged. Letter H, an individual who is required to disclose the name of a business under this section shall also disclose any other names under which the business is trading or doing business. Ooh, final page. We are almost there. Down the stretch they come. Section 4, be it further ordained and enacted by the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg, the Chapter 8 Code of Ethics, Section 8-13 definitions be and is hereby repealed, reenacted, and amended to read as follows. 8-13 definitions. In this chapter, the following words have the meanings indicated. Quasi-governmental entity means an entity that is created by state statute that performs a public function that is supported in whole or in part by the state but is managed privately. Section 5, and be it further ordained that if any provision of this ordinance or the application thereof to any person or circumstances held invalid for any reason, such invalidity shall not affect the other provisions or any other applications of the ordinance, which can be given effect without the invalid provision or applications, and to this end, all the provisions of this ordinance are declared to be severable. Section 6, be further ordained that this ordinance shall take effect 20 days from the date of its adoption and approval by the Maryland State Ethics Commission, introduced by the mayor and council, the town of Bladensburg, at a regular meeting on April 13th, 2013, and thereafter this ordinance shall promptly be posted in the town hall and available for inspection by the public. Adopted by the mayor and council of the town of Bladensburg, Maryland, at a regular meeting on April 13th, 2023. And that is all, Mayor. Thank you. I'm sure everybody got all that. The quiz will be in the morning. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for doing that. And at this time, I'll call for a motion to approve our ordinance. Just a point of clarification though, Mr. Charnovich, because the prefix of it is starred out. So would it be, I'm going to go with what's on the document from Article 8-7 to 8-6 -2023, or did you have a different ordinance number according to your records?
This is going to be. It is going to be ordinance 6 because ordinance 5. Actually, Mr. Tonelli, weren't you saying earlier you just looked at ordinance 5 in the budget and added it to the your treasurer's report? So the
Yes.
budget ordinance, is that correct, Mr. Tonelli?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So yes, this would be ordinance 6. Ordinance 5 was the emergency budget amendment last month.
Got
For
it.
the,
Okay,
for the speed
Yep.
camera spending.
perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that clarification. So with that, I'll call for a motion to approve ordinance 6-2023.
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any discussions or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we will move forward. The mental health awareness fair, Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. The Mental Health Awareness Day is coming along quite well. In the e-blast today, there was the flyer, which outlines the event. The first 25 people will receive a free yoga mat that is being donated to the town by organizations. The event will take place on Saturday, May 6th at 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. It'll be held at our beloved Bladensburg Community Center. The theme is self-care is how you take your power back. And so we'll start off with greetings from myself. We'll go into, we wanted to incorporate the physical health aspect as requested by members of this council. So we're going to have a Taekwondo demonstration by the organization that we love. We Lead by Example, Inc. Then we'll move into a self-care and mindfulness workshop led by a mental health clinician, Anna Cooper, which will be no cost to the town. Next, we have partnered with the Parks and Recreation. They will be providing a yoga instructor to do some yoga with all of the individuals. That's why we're giving out free yoga mats. So make sure you come first. Then we'll have Dr. Lisa Griot, who would like to address and be our keynote speaker. She's the principal of Elizabeth Seton High School, and she will be talking about mental health and talking about the importance of it. Then we'll move into more physical fitness, which will be Zumba from 3:30 to 4. And so we really want to focus on the physical health and the physical fitness as well as the self-care. That's the theme. And then the culminating events from 4 to 4:30, there'll be facials and skincare demonstrations. So this is going to be awesome. Our partners include the Now Foundation, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, the Bladensburg Fabulous Police Department, our awesome Parks and Recreation. We are getting free free smoothies from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Paddock Healthcare Pharmacy will be doing screenings, physical health screenings. We'll also have the Philo Club affiliates, and we lead by example. So that is our day. It's going to be awesome. So make sure you attend. Thank you so much. I yield.
Thank you very much. And I'll just make this brief on the next update. So on April 22nd, we're continuing our partnership to support Prince George's County's Growing Green with Pride efforts with trash collection, litter pickup, flower planting. Just report to Town Hall at 8 a.m. on Saturday, April 22nd. We'll break up into teams. The flyer has been distributed. I believe Mr. Jeffries pushed that out last week and again this week. So please sign up using that QR code. Volunteers are needed. In addition to that, we'll have dumpsters here at Town Hall from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I want to thank our code enforcement officers under Officer Reinhardt's leadership for really facilitating that with Bates. And so we will, for residents only, I want to specify, residents only will be able to drop off bulk items here at Town Hall. So we want you to clean up, green up. That was the theme from Mr. Wade on the code enforcement team, clean up, green up. So get the junk out of your house. The bulk items, that broken coffee table that has been broken for all of COVID and you still haven't glued the leg back on, just bring it up here, put it in the dumpster. It's not going to get fixed. Let it go. Bring it to the dumpsters. Again, they'll be here until 4 p.m. The other important component is as you're cleaning up and decluttering, all your sensitive documents really should be shredded. Do not put them in recycling. Do not put them in the trash. On Sunday, as a continuation of Clean Up, Green Up, we'll have Sunday, April 23rd from 9 a.m. to 12 here at Town Hall. The shredding truck will be here. So you can drop your things off to be shred, get them out of your house. And again, just in an effort to beautify your homes and the entire community, I want to thank the staff for working with me to come up with a good, robust plan for Earth Day weekend. Obviously, this is in support of Earth Day, which is April 22nd. And Mr. Charnovich, I know you have a proclamation for Earth Day. So we lost you earlier. If you want to read that quickly, paraphrase, then we'll go and take a vote for the proclamation.
I'm still searching for my saliva, Mayor. After that last ordinance.
Councilmember Blunt just covered her face with both hands, Mr. Charnovich.
All right, so yeah, I will gladly. I can read the proclamation, no problem at all. I'm ready to roll. So we have a proclamation for Earth Month 2023. Whereas the town of Bladensburg, Maryland recognizes April as Earth Month in recognition of our commitment to make Bladensburg clean and green. And whereas Earth Day was first celebrated on April 22nd, 1970, to honor the achievements of the environmental movement and raise awareness of the need to protect Earth's natural resources for future generations. And whereas the town of Bladensburg will host a Bladensburg Growing Green and Pride Cleanup and Green event on Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, that promotes spring cleaning across the entire town and brings town residents together for the common good of preserving our beautiful planet Earth. And whereas the town of Bladensburg also recognizes Eco City Farms, which is a nonprofit urban teaching and learning farm in Bladensburg and Edmonston, Maryland, that grows great food, farms and farmers in ways that protect, restore, and sustain the natural environment and the health of local communities. And now, therefore, the mayor and town council of the town of Bladensburg, Maryland, does hereby proclaim the month of April as Earth Month in the town of Bladensburg. Further, we encourage all town residents to join us in eco-friendly activities and continue to protect the health of the place we call home all year long. That concludes proclamation, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charnovich. Is there a motion to approve the Earth Month proclamation?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And Officer Reinhardt, we're moving into staff reports. Do you mind just reminding residents of what they cannot bring to the dumpsters? There is a naughty list. Do not get on Officer Reinhardt's naughty list. So with that, we'll move into staff reports, starting with Mr. Tonelli.
If you don't mind, I think I'll yield my time to, or unless Mr. Charnovich wants to read my report, but.
Understood. We'll be back with you on Monday, so thank you for
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Got a whole 2 hours. Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Chief, will come over to you and Officer Reinhardt with Public Safety and Code Enforcement.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I'll be real brief with mine. I'll just really talk about this week is our Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So if you don't mind, if you could thank our dispatchers for the hard work that they do serving our community. They are the calm voice in the middle of a crisis, and they also the lifeline for officers on the street. So this week they are being recognized for the Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Our Coffee with a Cop event was a great hit at Starbucks with our partners up there. Even Rocky got in on the act. He was a hit up there as well, but I just want to thank our amazing community action team, along with the collaboration of our police staff. They did a fantastic job, and they continue to make the town of Bladensburg look good with the community outreach. We have Officer Moon was recognized by the Red Cross in March for life-saving award. It's only 2,000 of these awards given out throughout the county, and I'm sorry, throughout the state of Maryland. And he was one of the recipients. He was on the scene of an unconscious female, had no pulse. He started CPR and was able to revive it till paramedics got there. Our wheel lock, we want to continue to share with our residents that if you have a Kia or Hyundai product between 2015 and you live in the town of Bladensburg, 2015 and 2021, you can receive 1 free steering wheel lock per vehicle. If you get in contact, see, Mr. Tonelli is holding up one. If you get in contact with our community outreach team, we will make sure that you get one free of charge. And I think I'll yield there, Mayor, for now, in essence of time.
Great. Thank you so much, Chief. Mr. Charnovich, over to you for the town clerk and interim town administrator report.
Mayor James, point of information. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but per Robert's rules, I do have an opportunity to remind you as the chair that we did skip over the mosquito spraying program.
I was saving that for Mr. Mr.
Officer
Officer
Reinhardt.
Reinhardt. I'm sorry.
All right.
So-
Okay, I just want to make sure. All
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna put my hand down now.
But we did agree, and he did state that he would cover it. So
Right.
thank you. Mr. Charnovich, I'm going down the line, and Sean, I'm coming to you. I'm going down my boxes.
Thank you, Mayor. In the interest of time, the late hour, I'll forego my report, and we can hop right to the mosquito program.
Thank you. And I know that Mr. Hall is not on, but do want to say we have his written report. Officer Reinhardt, over to you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and residents at home. I'm going to do my code enforcement report first. It's going to be very quick. I just want to let the residents know that code enforcement staff has extended their hours. You'll see us there in the evenings, and you'll see us there most weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. So if you see us out and about, say hi to us. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out to us. That'll be for the code report. Next I have for the green up cleanup, the restricted items that we are not accepting at that time are tires, car batteries, engine parts, any flammables, oils, uncovered mattresses, paint, any gas powered equipment or heavy construction materials. Those are items, again, we are not accepting for the green up cleanup in the upcoming Saturday. And to my favorite part, the mosquito spraying thing. Every year, the town of Bladensburg has an opportunity to get involved with the mosquito control through the Maryland Department of Agriculture. Basically, what this means is that the mosquito control spray activities means once a week, Maryland Department of Agriculture will have a crew or a contractor come through with a truck mounted ultra low volume sprayer that will spray for mosquitoes. We'll be designated a certain night of the week. Once we have that night, we will share that with the community. And they also provide a unscheduled mosquito control. And that basically means they set up traps throughout the community. If they come across any mosquitoes that would be a health concern and has a mosquito-borne illness, something like Zika or something along that lines, they will do a unscheduled spraying, and that could be any day of the week. They usually do it within 1 mile of where the mosquito is located at. So, for example, if a mosquito is located in the town of Colmer Manor or Riverton Park, there could be several sections of our community that will be sprayed also, because again, it's within 1 mile. There is also a application online for residents who want to be exempt from the mosquito program. They fill out the application, that they'll submit it to the Department of Agriculture and to the town of Bladensburg, and they could submit it to my email address once they have it. And again, I'm pretty sure I'll speak with Mr. Jeffries and the other town staff so we can get this put online. The website to read up about the mosquito program is going to be mda.maryland.gov. And there'll be a subsection. You look for plants and pests, and you'll look up mosquito control. Again, this is a program that we've done for the last several years. Our residents really do seem to enjoy it. The only exception that I do want residents to know is if you do sign up for the exemption form and there is a mosquito-borne disease or any condition that threatens public health, the Maryland Department of Agriculture will complete a full-scale spray. So if you have the exemption, your property will get sprayed at that time. That's all I have. If any residents have any questions or concerns, they can feel free to reach out to me. And that completes my information for the mosquito control.
Thank you, Officer Reinhardt. And just one thing that I noticed in the packet. So the larvicide program is free. We don't have to pay for that, but that just kills the larva. And there's a huge increase of the Asian tiger mosquitoes, and those tend to gravitate toward like the flower pots, anywhere around properties that have the standing water. And so the question that I had is, could we sign up for that? I understand that is not free, it's $1,800, but it's just, I remember, I can't think of the gentleman's name, but he was older, lives over here in Ward 1, who got Nile virus.
Correct.
Right, and it's just because we can't, or I'm sorry, not we, but the county can't, or the state can't go on personal property and start spraying around people's flower pots and things. I just feel like we have to do our best effort.
And I'm sorry, and the mayor hit it right on the head. If you do have any standing water on your property, any tires or bird baths, just make sure you clean them out like daily or every couple of days, because that's where the larvae like to sit in any type of standing water. And like I said, that's what also generates the population so bad. And it helps that we have the waterfront. It doesn't help that we love the waterfront in Bladensburg, but the waterfront also can breed mosquitoes also, as long as the water's not moving.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Rout.
Thank you so much, Mayor James. I move that the council participate in the Maryland Department of Agriculture mosquito spraying program and pay the community appropriation amount of $1,800 to be taken out of ARPA funds to participate in this program.
So it's under $10,000. So administratively, the town clerk can go ahead and proceed with that. If it were over the threshold, we would need a formal vote from the council to proceed. But I do appreciate the thought in terms of the funding source. Mr. Charnovich, I think Councilmember Rout's suggestion is a good one. If you could just look into covering it from ARPA funding.
Mayor
Um,
James, there's a motion on the floor, with all due respect, there's a motion on the floor, and if you.
Absolutely. Is there a second? Is there a second? And actually, I didn't call for the motion, so that was out of order, but I will
Out of order
entertain it.
per Robert's rules.
Pardon, is there? The motion fails for lack of second. Thank you very much, Councilmember Rout. At this time, we will move into the council report. The first report is Councilmember Rout from Ward 1.
Thank you, Mayor James. Over the course of the last month, I did take a course in Robert's Rules of Order. And so I will be updating my report to reflect what I learned, which was at the NLC conference. What I wanted to bring to the attention of my colleagues, I've heard your concerns with regard to the safe passage. And with the safe passage, I have initiated a Ward 1 street light project where I worked with our fabulous Bladensburg Police Department to identify our low lit areas in collaboration with Councilwoman Ivy and State's Attorney Brave Boy, because, you know, low lit and dim items in our town really gives our residents and businesses an opportunity to be preyed upon by criminals. And so I've reached out to PEPCO on the town, you know, in collaboration with the Bladensburg Police Department. And there were a few locations, 6 locations in the town where the street light had need to be repaired. I'm happy to report that they were repaired. There are some identified street lights that I have to go back out and really look at those. But I just wanted to bring it to the attention of my colleagues that there are 8 locations that have been identified that the street lights, there's poles but no street lights. And so I'm urging us to just take a look at my report and really look at really putting that in our budget. Another thing that's a highlight in my report, I've met with the owner of the Save-A-Lot store located in Ward 1. And as you know, Bladensburg is in a food desert. So with regard to the food desert, having just that conversation with the owner, just about, you know, his store in comparison to other stores is a fresh butcher shop. He was the owner, he acquired the store in COVID. And he is really working to look at his staffing shortages, getting the right amount of staff, and in addition to repairing the refrigeration units where he totally replaced and the flooring. So if we can support that store, that would be appropriate. I raised a lot of issues with DPI. You can look at my report. I stand on my report, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Brown, also from Ward 1, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor James. I'm going to be really quick in light of time, but I just want to report that with the ARPA funding for our small businesses, we did, the postcards are going up, but however, in our newsletter, there's a really nice piece of the newsletter that talks about the emergency assistance program for our businesses, and also for our homes, the rental, mortgage, and utilities assistance for our homes. And in Mr. Tonelli's report earlier, so far we have the service 226 households, and I do know that some businesses have also started to submit their applications. And so I just wanted to give an update on that. And also, I just let everyone know that the 2023 Maryland General Assembly concluded this past Monday. They passed there are a lot of bills on our governor's desk. So definitely go to the website at mgaleg.maryland.gov to check out some of the bills that are on our governor's desk: consumer protection, criminal justice, economic ethics, education, the environment, gun control, health issues, housing, labor, women's rights. So just encourage you all to go and pay attention and find out what's on the desk. And then, but one of the things that I do want to mention is about the minimum wage expansion. So the Governor Westmore, instead of the timeline being 2026, timeline has been moved up to January 1st, 2024. So that's what I have to report, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Over to Ward 2 with Councilmember McBride.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I'm going to forego my report and just send in my written.
Thank you so much, Councilmember McBride. Councilmember Blunt.
Good evening, everyone. I just have something short to say. I've been working with Como Manor as well as Bladensburg Recreation Center, trying to provide senior clubs throughout the town so they can have a place or outlet to engage in activities. I helped also Parkview, the council, with retrieving the COVID supplies that they ordered, a mountain load of it. But other than that, still active. I'm working on another project. Also, if you're a senior out there and you need any type of assistance with my 9 to 5, I am able to help you socially in anything that you need. So please don't hesitate if you need applying for any type of services. I'm here for that. So give me a call.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Blunt. Really appreciate it. And then I'll summarize, and the written report will be posted shortly. But last month on March 14th, the county executives, they call them the Deputy Chief Administrative Officers for various parts of her government. And we had our first quarterly meeting as the Maryland mayors with them, the Prince George's County mayors, excuse me. And so for this first meeting, we met with Jared McCarthy, who runs the Government Operations Cluster. And the benefit of having that opportunity to sit in on that meeting was to raise some concerns for residents, specifically at Quincy Village, but also on behalf of the town for the electric vehicle chargers. We've had those things under construction now for over a year, and just with the permitting back and forth, it has been a challenge. So having the opportunity to discuss our concerns and meet the right people who can help move them along was very beneficial. Additionally, as it relates to legislative committee activity for the PGCMA legislative activity in particular, we had our regular meetings each Monday at 8 a.m. sharp, and just really leveraged that time to monitor legislation as it was moving through the session. As Councilmember Brown noted, a sine die was midnight on Tuesday, and that concluded with the governor closing out the legislative session. And so it's good that a lot of the priorities that we had will be moving to the governor's desk for his signature very shortly. As we saw in the work session tonight with the presentation from Director Johnson from the Department of Public Works for the county, we're continuing to try to figure out solutions for the town's flooding issues and do everything we can to prevent what residents experienced back in 2020. So I had a fruitful meeting with Director Johnson back in March. He did present again tonight for the entire council and staff to show an opportunity for funding for flood barriers in the town of Bladensburg. And basically we would qualify for specific funding because of our environmental justice scores to basically leverage funding through the state through what they call ERFs. And so look forward to, as was suggested by the team, really engaging the residents who would be most impacted along Quincy Run, as well as the culverts that flow behind the Save-A-Lot area through the community, to really make sure that residents understand the process, the time involved, and that we have their support with moving forward with that opportunity. The other item is, again, had the opportunity to meet with County Executive Also Brooks. She hosted a meeting with the Prince George's County mayors to discuss the FY24 budget. And we were able to submit our concerns up front. Again, stormwater management and flooding are huge concerns. So it was good to see she's increased funding for stormwater management by $17 million, which would put it up to $113.7 million total for funding for stormwater management in the next budget cycle. We did also explain to her the need for municipalities in particular to have more regular maintenance of the stormwater drains, but also consideration for increasing them, because there are some gaps where there's these spaces or the distance between the storm drains is so great that the water pools and it takes a while for it to actually reach the drains. And I'm thinking about our industrial park as an example. So lots of ideas were discussed and she was very open to them. But again, the full detailed report will be posted online. I'll email that over to Mr. Charnovich between tonight and tomorrow so residents can read the full details. But do appreciate the opportunity to represent the town of Bladensburg on a number of fronts, and appreciate everything that the folks on the call from the council to the staff have done to support our residents. And so with that, we're now at the point of adjournment for tonight's meeting and would call for a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Uh-huh.
May I please, if you don't mind, speaking of lights, speaking of lights, I really want to thank Public Works, Mr. Purnell and his team for the lighting around the town hall. I know one evening you and I, we left out and we were standing out on the lot talking like it was daylight, you know? But I really thank them for installing the line. I got Councilwoman McBride to laugh there.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely
Yeah.
appreciate that. And thank you
That's
for
why
the
we
shout
say
out for
take that,
Public
yes.
Works.
For Public
And so
Works.
with that, I'll now call for a motion to adjourn.
Mhm.
So move.
Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Yes. Aye.
The ayes have it. Any nays? Good night. We are adjourned. Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Come on,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Woo!
Good night.
Long.